Today we are going to be going over the 5 most broken heroes in Overwatch history. These heroes were so overpowered and oppressive, they ended up changing the way the game was played fundamentally. And on the case of broken heroes, the last hero on this list basically almost ended the game's life by splitting the player base and transforming Overwatch into what we have today. Number 5. Sombra. Sombra has been one of the community most hated heroes for a while now because of how annoying she could be, but in Overwatch 2 they managed to make her even worse, and they achieved it with one simple change: hacking while in stealth. It's incredibly hard as a player to deny Sombra's hack when you barely have time to figure out where it's coming from. Usually if she's not already in your crosshair, it's too late, and getting these hacks for free was incredibly broken, especially when it could stop tanks from engaging in situations. Number 4. 2017 Bastion. On February 27th, Bastion received a lot of changes, which all things considered didn't matter until you got to the bottom of the list, where you found he was given a new passive called Ironclad, which gave him a 35% reduction in Sentry form and Tank form. These changes aim to shift some of Bastion's power from his old stationary machine gun into his regular recon form. For example, in Sentry form, he can no longer headshot, which he previously could, and the spread on his gun was increased. On the other hand, the old self-repair ability, which was now a perk, could finally be used while moving, and Bastion's base recon gun was buffed. With this passive, Bastion could tank things like Reaper Death Blossom, Cat Fan the Hammer, Pharah's Rocket, Genji's Blade, and so much more. This is not counting the fact that the cap for damage reduction used to be 70%, which meant that with Nano Boost, you could literally tank pretty much everything in the game. This was so broken that just after 4 days, yes, you heard that right, 4 days, his passive was nerfed down to 20%, and the damage reduction stats for Nano Plus was capped at 50%. Unfortunately, controller players had to deal with this for a whole month, but I think it's telling how powerful Bastion was in that moment that the devs had to step in right after 4 days. Number 3. Mercy. See, I have Mercy on this list for 2 reasons. The first reason being her resurrect. Yes, she's able to bring players back to life, but Mercy during Mott's meta was crazy, because as many of you guys know, Mercy received a rework to her 5-man res, giving her Valkyrie. However, this ult was stronger back then, as the ult used to last 20 seconds instead of the 15 it is today. It also gave Mercy her res cooldown back and reduced the cooldown from 30 seconds to 10 seconds. Res was also instant, meaning it had no startup, so you could res someone, pop Valkyrie, res someone again, fly around, try and stay alive for another 10 seconds, and then res again. Then, as your ult was ending, res someone one more time. This basically allowed her to res 4 people, which was way more consistent than before. This caused the Mott meta, where Mercy was picked at a pretty much 100% rate across every single rank. Mercy was dominant for months, and later received huge nerfs in the next 3 patches, and those weren't small nerfs either. No, if you look at it, they were pretty large nerfs. First of all, she lost instant res, no longer had the cooldown resets, had her movement nerfed, had her Guardian Angel speed increased in VAC nerfed by 50%, and they reduced the ult's duration by 5 seconds. The other problems I have with Mercy has to do with the inconsistency there was in denying her res. That was what made it broken. The only way to stop res was to kill, stun, or push Mercy off the map. Damage boost doesn't help either. Damage boost pushes a lot of heroes towards being able to one-shot, or extremely close to it. Number 2. Mauga. During the last ever BlizzCon, Mauga was released for a trial period where he was seen as pretty weak. Nowadays, it's pretty common, but the devs wanted him to be a little bit stronger, so they giga-buffed his entire kit. The things that were given to him were 150 armor, 50% headshot reduction, an increase from 30% to 50% damage reduction on overrun, cardiac overdrive having its lifesteal increased from 60 to 70%, and Berserker, his passive, having its conversion rate increased from 40 to 50%. This was only about half of what he was given, but to say the least, he was extremely strong and easily the best tank in the game. After release, people started complaining, rightly so, about the devastation Mauga was causing, especially due to his ability to just melt tank. That's why they nerfed him a week later, decreasing enemies damage and ult reduction. But just a week after that, like if they regretted nerfing him, they gave him more armor, lowered his spread, made it easier for him to ignite enemies, and increased his passive conversion rates from 50 to 60%. And then they just dipped. Yeah, they straight up left. After releasing him in comp and going on holiday, Margot was left to dominate Overwatch for an entire month. You've probably seen a good chunk of this Margot versus Margot clip that happened during most matches. Not only was the matchup ridiculous, the hero was also incredibly frustrating as a whole.
He leaves to buy the no way. There's no way.
Wait, did he go buy it?
If he fucking he fucking did.
If he just bought the battle
There's
pass,
no
bro.
fucking way.
He bought it! He bought it! What the
Bro.
It then took 3 weeks for the Margot nightmare to end. Now it's time for honorable mention. And first, we have Season 2 Roadhog, who was considered extremely crazy at the time and could hook you from the other side of the map. Game Launch Tracer, Cassidy on release, and my favorite, DPS DOOMFIST. Yes, they had to nerf me by making me a tank, and even that was not enough. Only through conflict do we evolve. Number 1. Number 1 is release Bridget. I don't think this is a surprise to anyone, but Bridget changed Overwatch forever. And when people normally talk about the downfall of the original Overwatch, she's basically one of the reasons that's always stated. Let's start with her stats. Bridge at the time had a wild 600 HP shield, which is almost more than modern day Sigma, who is a tank. She also had more HP than any other support. Along with armor, her bash used to be able to stun and hit through barrier, meaning you could stun Orion while he was shielded. Along with this, she also had a combo with her bat that would instantly one-shot a tracer using whip shot. Her armor part also used to have only one charge, but it would give armor, and due to the way armor worked back then, it would put it under overshield. Bridget is arguably the hero who has had the largest competitive impact in the game's history, and even in some way shaped the entire format of the game. A 600 HP shield, or bat which stun even through enemy shield, a repair back granting armor, and the most HP of any support at the time. Those are the things original Brie had in her kit. Her potential wasn't even fully realized, but eventually people would begin to recognize just how strong the new support was, and examples began popping out of regular gold player climbing to master or even top 500 just because Bridget was so good and easy. Her armor used to be almost infinite and used to give you armor faster back then. In fact, during her ult, Bridge was actually able to outswing a Reinhardt. Yes, a Reinhardt. Swinging is his whole thing, but if Bridge had her ult, 10 out of 10 times he was getting his ass beat. Bridget took over the game and was meant to be a counter to the meta known as dive, which had been meta for a long time. But what happened was she ended up taking the meta and running with it, because her inclusion created a new meta known as GOATs with 3 tanks and 3 support. It was a hyper sustained meta that was only possible because of Bridge and her AoE heal. She was nerfed for the next 11 patches. Yes, 11, which by the way, if you can tell, was her introduction on April 11, 2018, all the way up until Overwatch 2's release. Blizzard's inability to balance Bridget is generally agreed to be the thing that caused the game to move from open queue to row queue. This character changed the game forever, and thank God we've never had anything like her, because I don't know if Overwatch could take another. These are the 5 most broken heroes in Overwatch. Is there anyone I missed? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I specifically picked out this video for you, so give it a watch.